Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, a lot of you following this channel will be aware that I've always said in pretty much all of my previous videos that the last round of elections that we had in Nigeria was not an election but a sham, and the figures announced by INEC, Professor Yakubu and his band of merry men, the figures announced by Professor Yakubu and INEC was not a representation of the will of the Nigerian people, but predetermined figures that they were going to announce anyway, irrespective of how that election went. So this has always been the position of this channel, and information is now emerging that this might well have actually been the case, or actually I should say more accurately that information is now emerging to actually back up this known thing, because it is known that elections in Nigeria are often heavily rigged. So information is now emerging that the right set of figures would have shown an Atiku victory by well in excess of 1 million. So now let me read you this article just to give you a bit of a flesh on what I'm saying, and then we can come back and discuss it some more. Atiku says official INEC result shows that he defeated Buhari by 1,615,302 votes. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the February 23rd, 2019 presidential election, says he defeated Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress with a vote margin of 1,615,302 votes. On February 27, 2019, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) declared Buhari winner of the election. Buhari polled 15,119,847 of the total vote cast, while Atiku racked up 11,262,978 votes. This translates to Buhari defeating Atiku with a margin of 3,928,869 votes. However, Atiku rejected the official results from INEC and vowed to overturn the verdict in court. He had also called the entire election a sham and an emasculation of democracy. On Monday, March 18, 2019, Atiku's legal team formally filed a petition at the election tribunal. According to reports, a part of Atiku's 139-page petition reads as follows. From the data in the first respondent, that's INEC's server, the actual, true, and correct results from state-to-state computation showed that Atiku polled a total of 18,356,732 votes to defeat Buhari, who scored 16,741,330 votes. Team Atiku also claims that the figures were the total votes scored by the candidates in the 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory Abuja, as there was no report on server about the results from Rivers State as of February 25, 2019, the report read. Atiku also went on to add, Atiku says Buhari wasn't even qualified to contest. Atiku's petition also states that President Buhari wasn't qualified to contest the presidential vote because he did not possess the constitutional minimum qualification of a school cert. Well, we've always known this. The 5 grounds of the petition as follows. 1. The second respondent, Buhari, was not duly elected by the majority of lawful votes cast at the election. 2. The election of the second respondent is invalid by reasons of corrupt practices. 3. The election of the second respondent is invalid by reasons of non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. 4. The second respondent was at the time of the election not qualified to contest the said election. And 5. The second respondent submitted to the first respondent, and the first respondent, by the way, will be INEC, an affidavit containing false information of fundamental nature in aid of his qualification for the said election. So a team of senior advocates of Nigeria, some 21 senior advocates of Nigeria and 18 senior lawyers are representing Atiku in his case against INEC, the APC, and Buhari. Atiku's legal team is led by Mr. Levi Uzokwo San. Apologies for how I pronounced that name. Atiku's legal team is asking the tribunal to determine that Buhari was not duly elected by a majority of lawful votes cast in the said election, and therefore his declaration and return by INEC as the president of Nigeria is unlawful, undue, null, void, and of no effect. So null, void, and of no effect. They are also praying that Atiku, having been duly and validly elected, ought to be returned as president of Nigeria, having polled the highest number of lawful votes cast at the election to the office of the president of Nigeria held on the 23rd of February 2019. The petitioners are seeking an order directing the first respondent, that is INEC, to issue a certificate of return to the first petitioner, Atiku, as the duly elected president of Nigeria. They are also asking the tribunal to rule that Buhari was at the time of the election not qualified to contest the election, and that he submitted to the commission affidavits containing false information of a fundamental nature in aid of his qualification for the said election. Alternatively, the petitioners are praying that the election to the office of the president of Nigeria held on February 23rd, 2019 be nullified and a fresh election ordered. So that is pretty much the position of play. That's the state of play. That is what Atiku is saying, and that is what his team have cobbled together. So there we have it. We've always been of the view on this channel, as I said, that elections in Nigeria are more a selection than an election, because somebody is selected and then is slotted into place, and somebody is appointed as an INEC chairman, and that person is then given sort of like Dubai type money, you know, and then he's just made to sit down there, twiddle his thumb, and come the date of that election, he'll roll off people to all polling booths, only for them to go and return the sort of verdicts that they had intended to return in the first place. So now this is now what Atiku is saying. He's insisting that he won that election by well in excess of 1.6 billion votes, and those figures would tally, because if we discount the riggings in Lagos, and we discount Borno State, and we discount the rigging in Kano, and then we look at how the people in the southwest and the southeast would have voted against Buhari, and how the vote in the north would have been split, because there are two Fulani men, there's no reason and there's no logic that would suggest a Buhari victory, because it's certainly not based on performance. Buhari has not done anything in his 4 years that would recommend him for an additional 4 years, and the country has regressed a lot actually in his 4 years. So there's no reason that stands to logic that the Nigerian people would pin hope on as being the reason that they would re-elect Buhari. There's absolutely no reason why Buhari would be re-elected. So these figures, although these figures, obviously they are figures coming from PDP, and they are saying that these figures are based on the fact that they have queried the INEC servers, but really these figures, really they stand more to reason and logic, because the figures would suggest how you would expect the elections to have gone if it was a free and fair elections, and if the if the will of the people, if the votes of the people actually counted, then this sort of figures that we're reading here is the sort of figures that you imagine would have emerged out of that sort of election, because that is the sort of expectation. 18,300,000 and odd to Atiku and 16,700,000 and odd to Buhari. That tallies more with reason and logic than a Buhari victory, because a Buhari victory is another 4 years of Malamism in Nigeria, and we've already had 4 years of Malamism in Nigeria, which has taken us to the point that we are now. We all know where that country is now, wallowing in abject depravity. So now enough is enough of that, and that is what is reflecting in these figures that's coming out of this article that I've just read you. But then we all know that justice has a price tag in Nigeria, and we all know that Buhari has access to the whole of the Nigerian sovereign wealth to buy that justice, and we also know that they've been preparing the ground for this legal battle that they knew was going to come, because they knew what they were going to do with the sacking of the Chief Justice of the nation and replacing him with an apologist, with a yes man. So the grounds have been prepared, so the battle now commences. How does this play out? We'll soon find out, but share your thoughts about these new figures that we're now reading. Share your thoughts on these figures in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. So click on the red subscribe button so it goes gray. Click on the bell notification as well so you're notified as soon as I drop a video. Then once you've done both, come join me in the comment section where we talk Atiku, Buhari, INEC, and the way forward. So I'll leave you here, meet you in the comment section where the conversation carries on. So leave you here, meet you there, and I'll say peace.